Stage 1, the Scottish Borders stage of the 2024 Tour of Britain men, and the star quality of double Olympic champion Remco Evenepoel of Soudal Quickstep leading the peloton over the start line on the longest stage of this edition of the race. 181.9 kilometres from Kelso to Kelso over a sequence of 5 categorised climbs and 3 intermediate sprints. And for all that, there was a big battle to get in the breakaway of the day, with all the rewards on offer for a break that did get away eventually, animated by these two riders initially. Julius Johansson of Sabgala Anikola and Callum Thornley of Trinity Racing. They were joined by another rider eventually from the team of Global 6 United. It was the South African rider Callum Ormiston who eventually managed to get across a 10-second gap to make it 3 riders at the front of the race, at which point Soudal Quickstep allowed the breakaway to establish itself, and they nearly got the best part of 4 minutes as the race calmed down and took a bit of structure. Julian Alaphilippe and Remco Evenepoel then putting their team on the front and controlling the advantage of the breakaway. Evenepoel resplendent in gold. Heading towards the top of the first categorised climb of the day, Scott's View, it was Callum Thornley who attacked a little bit too early, perhaps mistaking the 500 metres to go sign for the top of the climb, but he recovered and came past Callum Ormiston, who had countered him. Callum Thornley then of Trinity Racing taking the first Cat 3 climb with 4 climbs remaining on the day. Then heading towards the first of 3 intermediate sprints at Melrose, it was Johansson of Sabgal Anikola who took the first sprint, and Gianni Moscon of Soudal Quickstep who was controlling the pace for back in the peloton. Callum Thornley then obliterated the opposition on the second categorised climb of the day to Dingleton, racking up by this point 10 points in the King of the Mountains. And then straight on to Dunyan Hill, another Category 2 climb with another 6 points on offer for the winner. And on this hill, when Callum Thornley attacked, there was no reaction from Ormiston or indeed from Julius Johansson. Those 2 riders, then Thornley and Johansson going clear over the top, and Callum Thornley with an unassailable lead in the King of the Mountains competition at this point, but hoping to add to his tally. Ormiston was then swept up as they headed towards Kelso and the cobbles of the finishing line for the first passage and the second intermediate sprint. That gave the man from the Portuguese team, Johansson, a big lead in the points competition. Meanwhile, Gianni Moscon, who'd done his work, came to grief at the back of the peloton with a rider from St. Piran, Rowan Baker, and Moscon touching wheels. As we headed towards the final 2 climbs then, Ineos Grenadiers and Connor Swift started to animate the race. Pushing on, trying to pull a group clear, including Julian Alaphilippe. Remco Evenepoel chasing across to get to the front of the race as Connor Swift continued to apply the pressure. Up and over Scott's View for the second time, Callum Thornley adding another 4 points to his King of the Mountains tally, as the attacking continued behind, including Remco Evenepoel going on the offensive. Local rider Oscar Onley from Kelso also visibly up towards the front in the colours of DSM. And with the Dingleton climb done, the Scott's View climb done, I should say, that was it for Callum Thornley at the front of the race, who sat up. Nothing more to gain from him. That left Johansson to pick up the final 10 points, the last intermediate sprint of the day, and 1 climb remaining. It was the Dingleton climb. That was the signal on the Dingleton climb for Julian Alaphilippe to light it up from the very bottom of the climb. Oscar Onley and Joe Blackmore of Israel Premier Tech going with him. Further up the climb, Wout Poels attacked as those groups came together again, and Remco Evenepoel plus Onley and Blackmore followed that move. Evenepoel persisting with the attack. A 3-kilometre climb, then Tom Pidcock took them over the top of the last categorised climb as Joey Roscoff attacked in the company of Jake Stewart and Remco Evenepoel. But that attack too was brought back. A very dynamic ending to the race, saw the race in bits, little groups going off the front and riders coming to grief on a fast and furious descent towards the finish line in Kelso in the last 20 kilometres. Then, as they approached the line, there was a big sprint, an unexpectedly large group with the best part of 70, 80 riders coming to the line, and Soudal Quickstep trying to set it up for their man Paul Magnier. Julian Alaphilippe in the final kilometre getting on the front and stretching things out. Jake Stewart of Israel Premier Tech then taking over, riding for his teammate Ethan Vernon on his wheel. But the rider in 3rd place there, Paul Magnier, opening up his sprint first on the cobbles in the final 100 metres of the run into the line. And from the moment he hit the front, he was not to be caught again. The 20-year-old revelation of the sprinting season from Soudal Quickstep, getting the win ahead of Ethan Vernon, another second place at the Tour of Britain for him, and a good ride from Bob Donaldson of Trinity Racing to pick up the bonus seconds in third place, with Tom Pidcock in fourth. Magnier, though, imperious, and with the win on stage one came the first leader's jersey, the new green leader's jersey in the Tour of Britain. Win number 3 of his first season with his new team, Soudal Quickstep, the graduate of the Trinity Racing team, leading the general classification by 1 slender point from Julius Johansson. Ethan Vernon in third, Bob Donaldson in fourth, and Tom Pidcock, who picked up bonus seconds on the road, in 5th place and well placed.